the sensual artist. In the heart of Paris, where every street echoed with history and every corner whispered tales of romance, lived a man known simply as Le Sensuel. His real name was Adrien Moreau, but to the art world, he was the sensual artist, an enigmatic figure whose paintings were so evocative that they left viewers breathless. His studio, nestled in the winding alleys of Montmartre, was a place of legend, filled with canvases that seemed to pulse with life, each stroke of his brush a testament to passion. Adrien was a man of many secrets. He had the brooding looks of a Byronic hero, dark, tousled hair that fell just above his intense emerald green eyes, and a chiseled jaw that often bore the shadow of a day's stubble. But it was his aura of mystery that drew people to him, like moths to a flame. Women found him irresistible, not just for his physical allure, but for the way he seemed to see into the very depths of their souls. Men admired him, envied him even, for his talent and the way he seemed to command attention without uttering a single word. He was a man who lived for his art, and his art was his life. Every painting he created told a story of love, of longing, of desire. His studio was filled with sketches and half-finished works, each one more seductive than the last. But it was his magnum opus, a painting called L'amour éternel, that captured the imagination of all who saw it. The painting depicted a couple locked in a passionate embrace, their bodies entwined in a way that seemed almost otherworldly. The colors were rich and deep, the strokes bold and confident, capturing the very essence of love itself. The model for this masterpiece was a woman named Isabelle Laurent, a young actress whose beauty was the talk of Paris. Isabelle was unlike any woman Adrien had ever met. She was fiercely independent, with a spirit that matched his own. Her raven black hair cascaded down her back in loose waves, and her sapphire blue eyes sparkled with mischief and intelligence. There was something about her that captivated Adrien from the moment they met, and it wasn't long before their professional relationship blossomed into something much deeper. Theirs was a love affair as passionate and tumultuous as the city itself. Their connection was electric, a magnetism that neither could resist. Adrien would often paint Isabelle late into the night, capturing her in various states of undress, her body a canvas of its own, every curve and contour etched into his memory. The way he painted her was different from the way he painted anyone else. With Isabelle, his brushstrokes were softer, more delicate, as if he were afraid of breaking the spell they had cast over each other. But it wasn't just physical attraction that bound them together. They shared a deep, intellectual connection as well. They would spend hours discussing art, literature, and philosophy, their conversations often leading to heated debates that only intensified their passion. Isabelle was Adrien's muse in every sense of the word, inspiring him to create works of art that were both sensual and profound. However, their love was not without its challenges. The art world was a jealous one, and many of Adrien's contemporaries were envious of his success. Rumors began to spread about his relationship with Isabelle, whispers that she was using him to further her own career, or that he was exploiting her beauty for his own gain. The pressure of these rumors began to take its toll on their relationship, and cracks began to form in the once perfect facade. Isabelle, too, had her doubts. As much as she loved Adrien, she couldn't help but wonder if he loved her or the idea of her. Was she just another muse to him, another beautiful face to immortalize on canvas? Or did he see her for who she truly was, a woman with her own dreams and ambitions, separate from his art? Their doubts culminated in a heated argument one night, the kind of argument that leaves wounds too deep to heal. Isabelle accused Adrien of being more in love with his paintings than with her, of seeing her as nothing more than a beautiful object to be admired. Adrien, in turn, accused Isabelle of not understanding the sacrifices he had made for his art, of being jealous of the attention his work received. In a fit of anger, Isabelle stormed out of Adrien's studio, vowing never to return. The studio, once filled with the warmth of their love, now felt cold and empty. Adrien tried to throw himself into his work, but without Isabelle, the spark that had once fueled his creativity was gone. He found himself staring at blank canvases, unable to summon the inspiration to paint. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months. Adrien became a shadow of his former self, his once vibrant studio now a place of sorrow and regret. He realized too late that he had taken Isabelle for granted, that she was more than just his muse. She was his other half, the missing piece of his soul. Desperate to win her back, Adrien began working on a new painting, one that would express everything he had never been able to say to her in words. It was a risky endeavor, for he knew that this painting would have to be his most honest work yet, revealing the depths of his vulnerability and love for her. As he worked, Adrien poured every ounce of his heart and soul into the painting. His brush moved with a newfound urgency, each stroke a testament to his longing for her. The image that began to take shape was unlike anything he had ever created before. It was not just a portrait of Isabelle, but a depiction of their love, raw, passionate, and unbreakable. When the painting was finally finished, Adrien knew that it was his best work yet. The colors were vibrant and alive, the emotions almost palpable. The couple in the painting, clearly inspired by Adrien and Isabelle, were shown not in a state of perfect harmony, but in the throes of an intense emotional embrace, their bodies intertwined, yet their faces full of longing and unresolved tension. It was a reflection of the tumultuous relationship they had shared, but also of the deep, undeniable love that had always been there. Adrien sent word to Isabelle, asking her to come to the studio one last time. He didn't tell her why, only that there was something he needed her to see. Isabelle, despite her better judgment, agreed. She had missed him, more than she cared to admit, and a part of her was curious to see what he had been working on during their time apart. When Isabelle arrived at the studio, she found Adrien standing in front of the painting, his back to her. The air was thick with anticipation, and for a moment, neither of them spoke. Finally, Adrien stepped aside, revealing the painting to her. Isabelle gasped, her eyes filling with tears as she took in the sight before her. The painting was a perfect reflection of their love, beautiful and complicated, full of passion and pain. She saw herself in the woman on the canvas, saw the love and longing in her eyes, and realized that Adrien had captured not just her image, but her soul. Overwhelmed with emotion, Isabelle turned to Adrien. He reached out, his hand trembling as he gently cupped her face, wiping away a tear that had escaped down her cheek. "I'm sorry," he whispered, his voice hoarse with regret. "I never meant to hurt you. You are more than my muse, Isabelle. You are my everything." Isabelle felt her heart swell with love and forgiveness. She had missed him too, more than she had ever realized. Without a word, she closed the distance between them, capturing his lips in a tender, passionate kiss. As they stood there, wrapped in each other's arms, the world outside seemed to fade away. All that mattered was this moment, the love they had found once again. And in that studio, amidst the canvases that had borne witness to their love story, Adrien and Isabelle knew that they were meant to be together, not just as artist and muse, but as soulmates. The sensual artist had finally found his true masterpiece, not in the paintings that adorned his studio, but in the woman who had captured his heart. The days that followed felt like a dream, one where the air was thick with the heady perfume of reconciliation. Adrien and Isabelle spent their time rediscovering each other, their love now deeper and more profound after having been tested by the fires of doubt and misunderstanding. The walls of Adrien's studio, once silent witnesses to his solitude, now echoed with the sounds of laughter, whispered conversations, and the soft murmurings of passion rekindled. Isabelle moved into Adrien's apartment above the studio, her presence filling every corner with warmth and life. The space that had once been a haven for Adrien's solitary creativity became a shared sanctuary, where their love and artistic spirits could intertwine. Isabelle, with her vibrant personality and sharp wit, brought a new energy to the place. She would often sit for Adrien, but now it was different. There was no tension, no unspoken questions hanging between them. Instead, there was a quiet understanding, a shared recognition of the bond that had always existed but was now fully acknowledged. Adrien's work began to change as well. The paintings he created during this time were unlike anything he had done before. They were still sensual, still filled with the deep, aching passion that had always defined his art. But now there was something more, an undercurrent of serenity, of contentment that gave his work a new dimension. The figures he painted were still locked in intimate embraces, their bodies still alive with desire, but their faces now bore expressions of peace, of fulfillment. It was as if, in finding his way back to Isabelle, Adrien had also found his way back to himself. Isabelle, too, flourished in their newfound harmony. Her acting career began to soar, her performances imbued with the same depth of emotion that Adrien's paintings now possessed. She credited much of her success to Adrien, whose love and belief in her had given her the confidence to take on roles that she might have shied away from before. But she was also quick to point out that their relationship was not one of dependence. They were two artists, two souls, who had chosen to walk their paths together, supporting and inspiring each other along the way. The Parisian art scene, which had always been a swirling cauldron of gossip and intrigue, couldn't help but take notice of the changes in Adrien's work. Critics and collectors alike marveled at the evolution of his style, noting the newfound depth and emotional resonance in his latest pieces. L'amour éternel remained his most famous work, but now it was joined by a series of paintings that seemed to tell the story of love in all its forms: passionate, tender, joyful, and even sorrowful. One painting in particular garnered attention, a large canvas that Adrien simply titled Réconciliation. It depicted two lovers standing in the midst of a storm, their bodies drenched with rain, but their faces turned toward each other, eyes locked in a gaze of unwavering love. The storm around them was fierce, the sky dark and roiling with thunderclouds, but the lovers seemed untouched by the chaos, their love a beacon of light in the midst of darkness. The painting was an instant sensation, with critics praising it as Adrien's most powerful work yet. It was clear to everyone who saw it that the lovers were modeled after Adrien and Isabelle, and that the storm was a metaphor for the trials they had endured and overcome together. The painting was purchased by a prominent collector who displayed it in one of Paris's most prestigious galleries, where it quickly became one of the most talked about pieces of the year. As the months passed, Adrien and Isabelle settled into a comfortable rhythm. They had weathered the storm and come out stronger on the other side, their love deeper and more resilient than ever. But even as they enjoyed the peace and stability they had found, they both knew that their journey was far from over. There were still challenges to face, still dreams to chase, both individually and together. One evening, as they lay in bed after another day of painting and rehearsing, Isabelle turned to Adrien, her eyes reflecting the soft glow of the moonlight streaming through the window. "Do you ever think about what's next?" she asked, her voice tinged with curiosity. Adrien smiled, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "I think about it all the time," he admitted. "But I'm not worried. As long as we're together, I know we can face anything." Isabelle nodded, a thoughtful expression crossing her face. "I've been thinking about something," she said slowly. "Something that might be a little unconventional." Adrien raised an eyebrow, intrigued. "Go on," he urged. "Well," Isabelle began, "we've always talked about how our art reflects our lives, right? How our experiences shape what we create. I was wondering, what if we collaborated on something? Not just a painting or a performance, but something that combines both of our talents. A project that tells our story, but also invites others to see themselves in it." Adrien considered her words, feeling a spark of excitement ignite within him. The idea was bold, ambitious, and utterly unlike anything they had done before. "What do you have in mind?" he asked, his curiosity piqued. Isabelle's eyes lit up as she began to explain. "I'm thinking of a multimedia installation, something that combines painting, film, and live performance. It would be an immersive experience, where viewers could walk through different stages of a relationship, from the initial spark of attraction to the deep, enduring love that we've found. Your paintings would be the backbone, of course, but we could also incorporate scenes from some of my performances, along with original footage we create together. It would be a way to merge our worlds, to show how art and love are intertwined." Adrien felt a surge of admiration for Isabelle. Her vision was daring, and he could see the potential in it. "I love it," he said, his voice full of conviction. "Let's do it. Let's create something that's never been done before." And so the next chapter of their journey began. The project consumed them, their days and nights spent brainstorming, sketching, filming, and rehearsing. It was a true collaboration, with each of them bringing their unique talents and perspectives to the table. Adrien's studio became a hive of activity, filled with canvases, cameras, and props, as they worked tirelessly to bring their vision to life. As the weeks turned into months, the installation began to take shape. The space was transformed into a labyrinth of art and emotion, with each room representing a different stage of love. In one room, Adrien's paintings depicted the fiery passion of new love, the colors vivid and intense, while in another, softer tones and gentle brushstrokes evoked the quiet contentment of a love that has stood the test of time. Isabelle's performances were woven throughout, her voice and movements adding depth and texture to the visual experience. The centerpiece of the installation was a final room, where the viewers were confronted with reconciliation. Here, in the quiet aftermath of the storm, they were invited to reflect on the journey they had just witnessed, and perhaps the journey of their own hearts. When the installation finally opened to the public, it was met with an overwhelming response. People from all walks of life flocked to experience the powerful fusion of art, film, and performance. Many left in tears, moved by the raw, honest portrayal of love in all its forms. The installation became a cultural phenomenon, sparking discussions about the nature of love, art, and the ways in which the two are forever intertwined. For Adrien and Isabelle, the project was more than just a professional success. It was a testament to their love, a celebration of the journey they had traveled together. It was a reminder that, despite the storms they had weathered, they had emerged stronger, their love unbroken, and their bond unshakable. In the years that followed, Adrien and Isabelle continued to create, each project a new exploration of their love and their art. They became known as the perfect pairing, their names forever linked in the annals of Parisian art history. But to each other, they were simply Adrien and Isabelle. Two souls who had found each other, lost each other, and found each other again, their love as eternal as the art they created. And so, the sensual artist and his muse lived out their days in a world of beauty and passion, their love story one that would be told for generations to come. They had found not only their creative voices, but the true masterpiece of their lives, the enduring love that had inspired it all. As the years passed, Adrien and Isabelle became legends in their own right, their story known to almost everyone in Paris and beyond. Their names were spoken with reverence in artistic circles, and their works were studied, dissected, and admired by art lovers and critics alike. But for Adrien and Isabelle, fame was never the goal. Their true joy lay in the life they had built together, a life filled with art, love, and an unbreakable bond. They continued to push the boundaries of their creativity, each new project a testament to their ever-evolving love. But as time went on, they began to yearn for something more. Something that would solidify their legacy, not just as artists, but as partners in every sense of the word. One evening, as they sat together on the balcony of their Montmartre apartment, watching the sun set over the city they both loved, Isabelle turned to Adrien with a thoughtful expression on her face. "I've been thinking," she began, her voice soft and contemplative. "We've created so much together, paintings, performances, installations, but there's something we've yet to create, something that would be the ultimate expression of our love." Adrien looked at her, intrigued. "What do you mean?" he asked, taking her hand in his. Isabelle hesitated for a moment, as if gathering her thoughts. "A family," she said finally, her voice filled with a quiet longing. "I want us to have a child, Adrien. I want to create a new life with you, to share this love we have with someone else, someone who is a part of both of us." Adrien felt a rush of emotion at her words. It was something he had thought about as well, though he had never spoken of it, unsure if Isabelle shared his desire. But now, hearing her voice the same longing he had kept hidden in his heart, he knew that this was the next chapter in their story. "I want that too," he said, his voice filled with certainty. "More than anything." Isabelle's face lit up with a radiant smile, and Adrien pulled her into his arms, holding her close as they both imagined the future they would build together. It was a future filled with the same passion and creativity that had always defined their lives. But now there would be something more, someone to carry on their legacy, to be a living embodiment of their love. A few months later, Isabelle discovered she was pregnant. The news brought a new kind of joy into their lives, a joy that was different from the exhilaration of artistic success, but just as profound. Adrien found himself inspired in ways he had never been before, his paintings now filled with the soft, glowing warmth of impending fatherhood. He began to create a series of works that depicted the beauty of creation itself, images of new life, of tender moments between mother and child, of the quiet strength of a father's love. Isabelle, too, found new depths in her performances. Her acting took on a richer, more nuanced quality, as if she were drawing from a well of emotions that had only just begun to reveal itself. She continued to work throughout her pregnancy, finding that the experience of carrying new life within her only deepened her understanding of the characters she portrayed. As the months passed, the anticipation of their child's arrival became the center of their world. Adrien and Isabelle spent countless hours preparing their home for the new addition, turning one of the rooms into a nursery filled with light and color. Adrien painted a mural on the walls, a fantastical landscape of rolling hills, blossoming trees, and a sky filled with soft, glowing stars. It was a world of imagination and wonder, a place where their child would grow up surrounded by beauty and love. Finally, the day arrived when Isabelle went into labor. It was a long and exhausting process, but Adrien was by her side every step of the way, offering words of encouragement and love. When their daughter was finally born, both of them were overcome with emotion, tears of joy streaming down their faces as they held their newborn child for the first time. She was a perfect little girl, with a head full of dark hair like her father's, and bright, inquisitive eyes that seemed to take in the world with the same intensity that had always defined her mother. They named her Amélie, a name that carried the softness of a whisper and the strength of a promise. From the moment she entered the world, Amélie became the center of their universe, the living proof of the love that had brought them together and sustained them through all the highs and lows. The years that followed were filled with the joys and challenges of parenthood. Adrien and Isabelle poured their love and creativity into raising Amélie, encouraging her to explore the world around her with the same curiosity and passion that had always driven them. They introduced her to art and music, to books and nature, nurturing her imagination and encouraging her to find her own voice. Amélie grew up surrounded by beauty, her childhood a tapestry of vibrant colors and rich textures, of laughter and love. She showed a natural talent for drawing from an early age, often sitting at her father's easel with a crayon in hand, mimicking his movements with the seriousness of a true artist. Adrien would watch her with pride, marveling at how this small, wondrous being had come into his life and brought with her a new kind of inspiration. Isabelle, too, found immense joy in motherhood. She balanced her career with her role as a mother, often bringing Amélie to rehearsals and performances, where the little girl would sit quietly in the wings, watching her mother with wide-eyed fascination. Isabelle's love for her daughter deepened her understanding of the roles she played, bringing a new dimension to her performances that audiences couldn't help but notice. Despite the demands of parenthood, Adrien and Isabelle never lost sight of their own relationship. They continued to create together, their work now enriched by the experience of raising a child. They found time for each other, knowing that their love was the foundation upon which their family was built. As Amélie grew older, she began to take on more of her parents' characteristics. She had her father's intensity, his passion for art, and his quiet determination. But she also had her mother's warmth, her charisma, and her love of storytelling. By the time she was a teenager, it was clear that she had inherited the best of both of them, and that she was destined to follow in their footsteps. One day, as Adrien watched Amélie working on a painting of her own, he felt a deep sense of fulfillment. He had achieved so much in his life: fame, success, critical acclaim, but nothing compared to the pride he felt in his daughter. She was his true masterpiece, a living testament to the love that had defined his life. Isabelle, standing beside him, took his hand in hers and squeezed it gently. They had come so far together, through trials and triumphs, through joy and sorrow. And now, as they watched their daughter grow into a young woman of strength and creativity, They knew that their love had been the greatest journey of all. As the years continued to pass, Adrien and Isabelle eventually decided to retire from the public eye. They had given the world their art, their stories, and their love, and now it was time to focus on the life they had built together. They moved to a small, picturesque village in the south of France, where they spent their days painting, writing, and enjoying the simple pleasures of life. Amélie, now a successful artist in her own right, visited them often, bringing with her the energy and excitement of the outside world. She had inherited not only their talent, but also their passion for life, and she continued to push the boundaries of her creativity, just as her parents had before her. In their quiet, peaceful home, Adrien and Isabelle found a new kind of happiness, a contentment that came from knowing they had lived their lives fully, without regret. They had loved deeply, created passionately, and raised a daughter who was a reflection of the best parts of both of them. As they sat together on their porch, watching the sunset over the rolling hills, they knew that their love had stood the test of time. It had been a love of fire and intensity, of challenges and triumphs, but most of all, it had been a love that had endured. In the end, the sensual artist and his muse had created something far greater than any painting or performance. They had created a life together, a love story that would be told for generations to come. And as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden glow over the landscape, Adrien and Isabelle sat hand in hand, knowing that they had found their true masterpiece.